So there's that's the information. I'd like to talk about it for a minute. So I just gave you a little information. Get your microphone, Dennis, and we'll get Deborah a microphone.
I think one of the reasons that we very often resist goal setting and planning is because it feels like a straitjacket. You know, now I've got to do this thing, and if I've planned it backwards, now I have to do it this way. And what you just described sounded more like jazz. I mean, it's improvisational. And it recognizes that that's part of the creative process. And that's a good thing for me to just continually remind myself about.
Oh, great, Dennis. Thank you. There's an article in Creating Your Future, which is my favorite in the whole book. It's called Planning Sets You Free. Because that's the image that I had, that a well-planned person has a pocket protector and is very stiff and not very spontaneous. And the reality is that the more I've visioned my life, the more I've dreamed my life, the more I've planned my life, the more free I've become and the more spontaneous I've become. I'm a pretty spontaneous guy, and I didn't used to be. Now, part of that is because in my plan, I put down I wanted to be spontaneous. So you can plan everything. And I've got a very detailed plan. I've got a 73-page, single-spaced outline for the rest of my life.
The thing that I just saw when you went through that was, I remember I was also here with the last course I did, and we came to this, and the construction had just begun. There was just like a base here. And I remember you going and saying where everything was. And the thing I remember the most was you talked about the room downstairs, and there would be these shelves, and there would be a piece of glass at the top of each representing a different continent. And I remember it because I couldn't quite visualize it then. And when I walked downstairs and I saw it, I was like, oh, that's what he meant. But the reason I'm bringing it up is I have never created a future to the kind of degree, the kind of comprehensiveness that you put into this. And what I saw was, I tend to get what I want, but it's kind of. It's like, whereas like you created this, exactly what you want, and you got it down to the glass over the shelves, like depicting each continent, like that. And what I saw is, like by doing it, like I want a house, I will get a house, and I'll walk into it, and it's like, oh, this'll work. But this'll work is very different from having exactly what I want. And I don't know if I've even ever had that experience of having exactly what I want.
Great. Very good. And what I'm recommending, I'm using this physical example, but I'm recommending it in every area,
Yes.
which I know you see that. But this physical example is such a good description because there are literally thousands of details. When Bill and I planned this, I mean, we went through long, long computer lists and big, thick stacks of cards because we attended to everything. I mean, the exact carpet, the exact little way that those pieces hold the logs together and how they're shaped and what color they are. I mean, like really spent a lot of time on that and how these lights don't glare when you look up at them because they just reflect off a white ceiling because the ceiling we want to be white, not dark, because we want this to be an open space. And how long it took to find that chandelier. Now some people would say, well, geez, that's so time consuming. Well, yeah, but we also wrote as a group 3 books in that time period and conducted multiple workshops and coached hundreds of people. And so it's just quick, but it's all attended to. Now here's what I'm recommending, is you not just do it in here, but you do it like in a physical space. But that's how I created my relationship. It's part of how Trisha's my relationship is so glorious. I told you a little bit about this, but when I'm with my wife, a couple of times a month, I just weep with joy. I mean, I just weep because we've created a relationship of our dreams. And it took place detail by detail by detail by detail. As many details, way more details that are in this building. Kim.
Yeah, I really get this. I really get this. There's that, I can't think of the name of the movie, Run, Forrest, Run. What was it? Forrest Gump. Yeah. You know the feather floating through through that movie, and it just so when the feathers landed, when I've landed, you know, I've done pretty well wherever I've been, but to plan it out, and I kind of know that I can plan things out and get what I want, but it's always been so hard and difficult, and to make it fun and creative. Yeah, and one of the things I remember about 10 years ago, I'd been single for like 7 years, and I wrote out the kind of woman that I wanted to find, and I found her. And the first few years that we were married, I also used, you know, I wept just looking at her, and I want that back. Because we've got a good relationship, but I want that back. And there's no reason why I can't get that, except that I'm just thinking, I want it. And so I want it, you know, why doesn't it just land in front of me? And I can just plan it and do it. And that's great.
Yeah, and Kim, the idea is to step out there and describe it in detail, exactly what you want, exactly what it will look like, and then talk about how you got there.
Yeah.
Kim, you're a great leader. I know that, because I know the organization that you lead. And I know that there's other leaders in the organization, but you really are a leader in that organization. And to me, a great leader is somebody who has that vision and then holds it lightly, does what Dennis has talked about. It's more like jazz. And as the leader, you're standing out in front and you're saying, oh, come on, folks, this is really going to be great. It's worth it. Let's go. And you paint a clear picture of where you're headed. Because otherwise, people don't know where to take themselves. It's kind of nebulous. It's like, well, okay, but they can't follow. They can't support you. They can't come along when the vision's unclear. But when it's so clear to say, yes, and the fireplace is there, and it's really tall. No, it's taller than that. And then there's this big, soft sculpture up there. You know, I hired an artist to do that, but my vision of that is almost exactly what she created. Now, it's not like I created it. I didn't stifle her creativity. I gave her a tremendous amount of freedom within a vision, which is that it's got to be random, it's got to be some kind of an abstract reflection of the outdoors, it's designed to be soft and really big chunky knots and really flowing and very random and two parts, and then we'll have another reflection of that. If you go into my office, there's another sculpture weaving like that in the office. So I gave her tremendous freedom. She felt very free to create, but within a very clear vision. And that's what I know that you sometimes do and sometimes can even do more of. All of you, all of us. David.
Well, I just have a quick comment and a quick question. And the comment is that it's just on my mind. I've been here for 2 days, and we get in these conversations, and people genuinely thank me for my input. And I want to thank you all for making me feel so good about the things that I feel and do and acknowledge me. And the question is, do you ever find yourself saying, well, that'll do? Do you understand that?
Sure. Yeah. I got a great lesson from carpenters when I was young. And I was in college, and the summer I spent building apartment buildings. And I kind of fashioned myself as a carpenter because I did carpentry when I was younger than that. So in college I was there, and I'd be building these stud walls. You know how walls are constructed, most of you know, they got studs in them. And I'd be down there, and you put the stud against your foot, and then put the nail in there and hammer it, and get it in, and hammer another one, and then go to the next one. And I thought I was pretty good at this. Sometimes I'd bend a nail, and I'd kind of straighten it out and get it in there. But then I noticed that the really skillful carpenters, the master carpenters that have been doing this all their life, they'd sit there and they'd hit it in, and then they'd bend one, and then when it got bent, they'd just whack the heck out of it. They'd just bend it all down and put in another one. And they'd say, oh, hell, it ain't no piano. I thought, that's right. Sometimes it's not a piano. Now, sometimes it is, in which case you wouldn't want to bend the nail. But if it's just a stud inside a wall that no one will see, it's good enough. So yeah, lots of times. And we say that over and over again here. It's one of our favorite expressions, which is, well, it ain't no piano. And then sometimes we say, this is a piano. We really want it to be everything that we always wanted.